Hi, everybody, and welcome to Online Music Collaboration with JamKazam, an online webinar brought to you by Cabaret Hotspot and Cabaret University. Our esteemed teacher this evening is Mr. Christopher Denny. I'd like to tell you a little bit about Mr. Denny. He is a 40-year career music director, pianist, arranger, vocal coach, and teacher. His work includes theatrical music direction, of course you can read here, dance arranging, recording, production, and solo performance, working closely with singers, conceiving arrangements, working as an MD, performing concerts, recordings, and cabaret shows. He is a multi-award winning music director in the world of cabaret. We're very, very honored to have him here. In addition to these workshops, he teaches workshops all across the U.S. and Europe. Mr. Denny, take it away.
Yes, and please let me know if my audio is bad. I'm not sure what I can do about it, but it's cutting out for some reason, so let me know.
Okay.
So, JamKazam. Why JamKazam, and why right now? Well, the answer to the second question is obvious, the pandemic. I just felt there had to be a way to get back making music and working, frankly, while sheltered at home. At the beginning of the shutdown, one good friend commented to me. I was saying, well, hopefully we'll find a way to keep working, and he just said, nope, that's not possible. Unless the pianist and singer are in the same room, there's simply no way that can be done, period. And it's funny how I reacted to that. I've always heard that too, and whenever I've tried with no good results to use, Zoom, Skype, whatever, it doesn't work. It's too disconnected. So I called friends, I called director friends, pianist friends, and they said, gosh, we have no idea. And they only said, please let me know if you find a way to do it. And somehow I just took that on as a challenge. I just needed something to focus on during the pandemic, and that was kind of it. What I was looking for was some way for us to not just be able to play tracks and then hear someone sing to a track, but to be able to listen to each other and react in real time, spontaneously together as we do in a rehearsal room or on a stage. That requires high quality sound and, crucially, the lowest possible latency so that people can truly play and sing together. Now, latency is an important word here, and I hate to have to go for technical definitions right away, but I'll keep it simple at first. Latency, just think delay, think lag, delay in sound. In a word, it's just what you experienced if you're my age and you were a kid and you tried making long distance calls. That horrible wait, and kind of you wind up overlapping and unable to carry on a conversation. That's what most of us have experienced if we've tried to use Zoom to play and sing in different locations. Latency, like another word I'll define later, jitter, is continually measured and displayed in real time within the JamKazam program. Latency in online music making is especially diabolical because every member of a group feels it differently. It's the pianist or drummer, whoever's holding down the rhythm, who really gets the brunt of the musical disconnect, because their ear, as the sound comes back to them late, their ear tells them to slow down to match the others to stay in time. If the pianist could just be a robot and play like a metronome and go ahead and not listen, then theoretically it'd be possible to stay together. But the point is, what's the point of that? That's having a track, that's being a human track. And you don't get to listen, you don't get to react, you don't get to really be musical. So a recorded track would actually be much easier to use. And this would certainly be the antithesis of online musical collaboration. So I looked around everywhere for potential solutions, and there are many, and some of them do work, I think. I had to focus eventually on one. The first one I looked at, which was amazing looking, is called Lola. It's out of Italy at a university. And I corresponded with those people, and it works apparently incredibly well. It's been used for live concerts between like Carnegie Hall and La Scala Milan and that kind of thing. Problem is, they explained that I would have to spend $10,000 for new equipment, and I would need at least a 1 terabit internet connection, which is way beyond what you can get in a residence. So I gave up on that, and eventually I settled on JamKazam as the best option for me. A brief history on JamKazam. So it was invented by three people in Austin in 2014, described in the press as a tech entrepreneur, a computer science genius, and a software developer, who all had high-powered day jobs and limited funds to invest. It showed great promise, but by 2017, they ran out of money. There was no money left to continue development, and they had to cease active development and technical support, essentially just leaving the app out there for the public to use at its own risk. The app developed a reputation online, which you can see if you Google it, you'll find all kinds of comments. But back then, particularly, for being potentially exciting but problematic and inconsistent. And that was until this March, when at the start of the pandemic, they suddenly saw their numbers of users just multiply exponentially. It doubled again a month later, so the three founders regrouped, started a GoFundMe to try to help them actually put money back into it, and began to work again in earnest, launching a series of major upgrades, which are still continuing today and forwards. Looking at all of the complaints, trying to figure out how this works, there's no documentation that's really thorough, and that's the problem. But many of the problems and complaints reported online weren't really problems with the program at all. People were trying to make it work with the wrong equipment, the wrong setups, the wrong settings. And there are billions of help videos out there that people posted over the years to try to make up for the lack of consistent information. But those often emphasized one step and left out another essential one. Or they become outdated, or sometimes they're just incorrect. My feeling is that if people could just get a clear idea of the fundamental requirements, it's really not that many elements, and the fundamental setup procedure needed to make it work, in most cases, it will work. So the question now is, what does JamKazam enable you to do? It enables you to rehearse as if in the same room under the best circumstances. It enables you to coach or teach with well-synchronized audio and video. It allows you to collaboratively create arrangements, shows, even live broadcasts with your creative team in real time from next door or even across the country. It allows you to record audio with or without video from your sessions at high quality with both streaming mixes that accurately represent the low latency you heard, but then also separate isolated high quality audio tracks, which are good enough to later mix professionally. And they sound really good. The other capability, which we'll just touch on today, is the ability to broadcast live on Facebook Live or YouTube Live or Twitch. And even with options for audio effects, for live dynamic mixing, and even sort of on-the-fly camera direction among webcams that you're using. So that's quite a lot. I've had very productive sessions already on JamKazam between where I live in New York and Connecticut, Florida, Arizona, St. Louis, Los Angeles, and even Amsterdam. But if you asked me again why JamKazam, I'd answer in a roundabout way. There's got to be a reason why not a few of my singers, after singing live with me for the first time since the pandemic, have burst into tears. It's not my playing. It gives you back the experience, the intimacy, and I would say the freedom of real musical partnership and interaction again. I'd answer you by playing, with her permission, a clip of the first song I tried with my kid sister, Karen Mason, unplanned and unprepared. In fact, the funny story is she's one of the people who doesn't have the classic setup, and I'll explain later what that alternative is. She didn't have an interface that's usually needed. And I told her, I prepared her, I said, look, don't expect anything. This won't go that well. We'll have a lot of latency until you get the right equipment, but let's just try it. And lo and behold, we connected and had 9 milliseconds of latency, which is like having you're just a few feet away in the room. But this particular moment, that is this song that we're going to play, is what convinced me that JamKazam was where I wanted to put my focus, that it was going to work. This is a Billy Goldenberg song.
If I close my skies I can fly. I can drink the rain and taste the sky. I can catch the wind and make it mine. Like the sun, I'll shine. Suddenly a door opens wide to 1,000 paths I've never tried. Follow, follow me, I hear them say, and you'll find your way. Maybe dreams are dreamed so that we can see just how real the dawn can be. How the dawn can be comes as no surprise if I simply close my eyes.
Beautiful. And that was with a Yeti microphone, right, Chris?
Yeah, that's the, I'll tell you a bit later, but that's the atypical setup that according to nobody is supposed to work.
Yeah.
But sometimes it does with a fairly recent Mac and only with Mac. Yeah, that's funny. And that was unrehearsed. I mean, we've done it months ago, but there was no planning. It was freedom is what it was. You know, what she did, I could follow. What I did, she could follow. And try doing that in Zoom, you know?
Yeah, and the recording sound, at least from my point of view with my headphones on, it sounds fantastic.
Yeah, well, and guess what? That's not the high quality strips mixed properly in Pro Tools or something. That's the stream mix, which is, you know, it gives you a mix that's what you heard in your headphones that's lower quality, kind of immediate. And then it gives you these other tracks with separate piano track at higher quality, separate vocal track. And that should sound much better than this, but I'm pretty happy with that sound, actually.